everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey!
We're back at it again to talk about a week of geeky goodness. So much we're getting into here. Talking Sherlock Holmes, some Moon Knight, some crazy Morbius, post-credit scenes, and some great trailers. Jump into all of it. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Outlaw Nation of the Geek Buddies. Mike?
I am Michael Vogel. I'm a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
Shannon?
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor where you may have seen me on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Silicon Valley, and the Goldbergs.
There you go. All right, we're going to jump into so many things. Excited to get into it. For those of you who are new, thank you so much for taking a chance on us here in the world of Geek Buddies. For those who've been on us or hanging out with us for quite some time, thanks for staying on the Geek Buddies train. And speaking of the Geek Buddies train, we also want to tell you we are powered and sponsored by the fine folks over there at Carbon Health. carbonhealth.com, fantastic place, 100 plus locations opening all over the country here. They've got some 50 plus locations all over California as well, doing COVID testing, meeting all your healthcare needs. The healthcare providers, they really believe in connecting with you, setting up a great healthcare plan for you, and making sure they follow up with you and you're staying on task. And who doesn't need that nowadays when we're so distracted by so many things in our lives? It's good to have a healthcare professional who is keeping you on task and making sure you are taken care of. So go to carbonhealth.com and see what they've got to offer you. All right, gentlemen, I think we're starting. Mikey, you're starting us off with some Moon Knight news.
I think we do have some Moon Knight news. So in addition to the second episode of Moon Knight coming out this week, and I hope you all join us for our Moon Knight spoiler review, which is coming very, very soon, or actually by the time this airs already came. I don't know. Either way, check it out. It's going to be great. But in addition to that, Moon Knight had a pretty good launch on Disney+. Marvel Studios reported that Moon Knight pulled in reportedly around 1.8 million U.S. households across its first 5 days on Disney+. That is compared to the 1.5 million that Hawkeye got on its first 5 days. So Moon Knight, even though he's new to the Marvel Universe, did a little bit better than Hawkeye. He has not beat the record yet, which is Loki, which remains Marvel's most watched first episode with 2.5 million households turning in. And Loki also holds the record for the most watched Disney Plus finale with 1.9 million households. So everybody still loves the God of Chaos the most. And, Hawkeye did 1.5, so nothing to sneeze at. Like, Marvel's still doing just fine, but pretty encouraging that Moon Knight, which is a character that most people, including a few of the Geek Buddies, know much less about than other Marvel characters, had such a significant opening. So, gentlemen, yay for Moon Knight. Congratulations to Moon Knight. But why do you guys think that is? Like, do you think it's the star power of Oscar Isaac? Do you think that people were just really intrigued by the trailers? Like, why do you think Moon Knight did so well, even though he definitely is not a top-tier Marvel name?
Jay?
I kind of feel like Oscar Isaac is definitely a pull, but also I think people were excited to get a new character. I mean, you look at the 4 Disney Plus live action Disney Plus series that preceded it. I mean, WandaVision, it was that build. I mean, because Disney Plus, not a new platform, but it was the first sort of it was the first MCU series, and you watch the trailers, and especially for folks that aren't necessarily big comic book readers, I mean, it was weird. I mean, it was like, wait, it's all in sitcoms, and this one's in black and white, and this one's in the 7. What is this exactly? Falcon and Winter Soldier was much more up the middle, but also they were supporting characters, and people may not have necessarily been like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens to the guy that flies and the guy with the arm. Loki has been an incredibly popular character from moment one. So I think that certainly explains why Loki thus far has the biggest premiere numbers. I'd be curious to look at all of the finales, because to me, I think Loki, especially for folks not necessarily comic book readers, Loki kind of petered out at the end. I mean, there was something very, with Jonathan Major showing up at the end, comic book folks were through the roof. But with Hawkeye also, a lot of folks coming out of the films were not necessarily that jazzed about him. And I think, I would be curious to see the numbers of that show, because I would have to think, like WandaVision, it just grew and grew and grew because the show was just so good. Now, looking at Moon Knight, I think people are just excited to get somebody. They're excited to get somebody new. And you have the premise of ancient Egypt. You have a really unique costume. You have the star power of Oscar Isaac. And the trailers were good. I mean, the trailers did a really, really good job selling this show about this person who has sort of, dissociative identity disorder. And even like I'm halfway through episode 2 right now. I was watching it this morning. It'll be really interesting to see if people continue to stay on the way that the numbers came out for the beginning.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said, Shannon. Absolutely. I think this is also, look, it's summer movie season. People are getting back into the vibe, getting back into ramping, and the fact that we've seen a number of these series now. So this has now become kind of a norm. We look forward to the next Marvel show. We look forward to what it's going to be. Yeah, and it's a new character. Okay, what are we going to explore? Oh, the way we get people in, we hook them in with Oscar Isaac, we hook them in with Ethan Hawke as well, and see what we can explore and discover. And there are a lot of people, especially a lot of websites, a lot of YouTube channels, who are hell-bent on explaining this stuff and dropping a lot of content, a lot of video, because I think more and more people are coming up now in the generation who understand that's part of the task of being a fan now with all of these franchises, Star Wars included, that you've got to do the legwork here so you can fully appreciate and have those water cooler conversations in much more in-depth ways. And I think that's what also, plus the idea of Egypt, I think that kind of does spark a little bit of attraction for a lot of people. It's still kind of an exotic thing. You know, Death on the Nile did pretty well in the considering when it came out there for Kenneth Branagh. So to me, looking at this is what I think is happening here. And look, Multiverse of Madness is right around the corner. So this content of wanting Marvel stuff in front of their eyes is great. And there's not a lot of stuff out right now. Maybe Atlanta, maybe a couple other series that are necessarily taking the attention away from this show as well. So it was a smart time to drop it, and I think it's killing it because of that. You know, and we'll see, as Shannon said, because I've seen the first 4 episodes. Each one has a different tone. So I'm very curious to see how people will feel after the first 4 episodes about the next 2 episodes, if their excitement is still there for the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that makes this series a little bit different is, kind of, to use John's term, like less legwork required. Like, I mean, there's 2 parts of like getting into a Marvel show. One is Marvel's going to drop Easter eggs for every nerd like us and every geek in the world, so that if you want to go deep and go, oh, there was a reference to this, and I think that this, and I'm sure that was Mephisto, you can do it all day long, and you can do that. But there's also the level of like, what do I need to know to follow the cinematic story? And Marvel does a really good job that even if you don't know every single thing about the characters from the comics, you can just, if you watch all the Marvel movies, you can keep up with who these characters are and where they exist in the universe. Moon Knight, much like Shang-Chi, much like the Eternals, we are now in an era post phase 3 into phase 4 where it's a nice time to jump on board, because you don't need to know a lot. Like with Hawkeye, there was a lot of backstory involved with each one of them, like Loki, Hawkeye, Wanda, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier. With Moon Knight, he's gonna get involved in the bigger MCU, but as of right now, like, he's pretty fresh and clear. So if you are not a huge Marvel person and maybe watching some of those other shows, there was a little bit of a barrier of like, oh, I can't watch that until I watch this, and this. Moon Knight, you can just pop it on. And you're probably going to want to go do legwork later as he gets more involved and other characters show up and they mention things. Yeah. But for right now, it's pretty free and clear. And I think that's probably a big reason too.
Also 6 episodes. I mean, that makes you want to take a chance on a show. Oh, it's only 6 episodes? Perfect. I can knock that out, no problem. One time a week, no big deal. And I'm done with it. 6 episodes. So yeah, I think that factors in as well. All right. Anything more to say on this one? Shall we move on?
I mean, I'm just excited to see what happens next, but we'll talk about that in our spoiler review. So
absolutely.
I guess I'm good for now.
Yeah, fair enough. Our spoiler review will be coming tomorrow, but definitely tune in with that. And Mike Kalinowski coming back to join us again for that one for sure. All right, let's move on to our next story. I got this one, Sherlock Holmes. Some Sherlock Holmes news. Just when, we're preparing for Sherlock Holmes, the much anticipated, and it's been quite some time since Game of Shadows. The 3rd installment here in the Sherlock Holmes series is a franchise rather is on its way. But this news comes out here from Deadline and Variety that HBOMax and Warner Brothers are looking to build a Sherlock Holmes film TV universe. Why not? Everything's a universe in the mold of the TV series offshoots here that they've got for Suicide Squad with Peacemaker and the Batman, which is coming. A couple of those, possibly an Arkham Asylum one coming as well. So this is apparently 2 potential spinoffs that are coming here for for characters that have not yet been introduced. They're going to be introduced in the third installment here in the movie that's coming up, and it's being produced by Robert Downey Jr. and Susan Downey, his wife there, and they would focus on, each one would focus on a different character. So this is fascinating, the world we live in now, where literature is turned into a universe now to play around with. I mean, these are these are books from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who in his mind probably didn't think the future of turning these into films, or maybe he did, I don't know. But the idea that essentially these books are already universes within themselves, so the transfer doesn't seem that out of their own possibility. But nowadays, it's certainly a very interesting thing to see. Gentlemen, what do you think about this? Are you excited about this? And what characters are we going to get? We've seen the pretty standard characters in all the Sherlock Holmes, from all the Sherlock Holmes adaptations already. So what new characters could come in? Is one of them an anti-hero? What do you anticipate we might get? First of all, what do you think of the news? And what do we anticipate we might get in these series?
I mean, on its surface, it's news that I'm kind of like, yes, like I really enjoyed those movies.
Yeah.
The second one especially. And it's been an interesting franchise. I mean, it's very much like the sleeper blockbuster franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one came out, did very well. The second one, it never finished at number one, but it hung around. It just had these really, really great legs. And you had Jared Harris with his amazing portrayal of Moriarty. It's been so long since we've heard any news about the third one. Like at one point, the director's name is escaping me. It's the guy that did Eddie the Eagle. I believe
Dexter Fletcher.
Yes. I want to say then he signed on to the Saint, and maybe that's gone away now. But to have two separate series, and does it say whether or not the series are going to come before the third movie or after the third movie?
The movie will come first, because
the movie will come first.
Characters, and then those will be the offshoot from the movie. Yeah,
I mean, they're clearly very confident in what they have in this script to think that, okay, from this script we're going to be able to do two separate series. I mean, I imagine the guess would be that after this third movie, if it happens, would be that Robert Downey Jr. is probably hanging it up as Sherlock. I mean, it's a very physical role, and he's getting a little long in the tooth. So it's like, I love the world, but it is a very, very kind of unique idea. I mean, you look at the supporting cast of characters in the Sherlock Holmes universe, like you think like the Irregulars, that's what they're called, right? The kids. Right. And they actually did that already on Netflix, and I don't think it was very good.
No.
But yeah, I mean, there is a cast of supporting characters there. So I'll be curious if they're from the books or if they are just new creations that they're doing for this third movie.
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea, but it's unusual.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, thoughts on this? I mean, you show run a bunch of stuff. You've rebooted some franchises. What's this idea of kind of reigniting the interest? I mean, it's been over a decade. 2011 was Game of Shadows. That's how long it's been. A third movie coming in. Do you think this is the wise move to launch two series right off of this movie, not knowing how it's going to be received?
Well, I think two things. One, I mean, this franchise is so old that we've had an entire other Sherlock Holmes franchise capture our hearts and rise and fall since it came out. Like we've had an entire Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, this is my Sherlock, this is the Sherlock that gets it right, that came and went since we've seen these. So
can we argue there's been two, Mike? Because Elementary came, I think, during this time, didn't it, as well? So
yeah, Elementary was in there too. So there's been a lot of Sherlock, and so this specific version, as much as I enjoyed them when they came out, it's been a while. It's been a minute. This is it's like somebody coming along and being like, guys, we've got an all new. I'm trying to think of any old franchise. I can't think of any. I was going to say Christopher Reeve, but that one wouldn't really work today. So, but it would be like Smallville. It's like, guys, we're doing Smallville, and you're like, well, we've had 19 Supermen since Smallville. That being said, I mean, this is a thing that I kind of learned when I was at Hasbro. IP is IP.
Yeah.
You can have anything. Like if you're a company, and especially living in the world that we live in with movies and streaming services and spin-offs of those movies happening on the streaming services and doing really well. And like you said, John, we're living in the era of universes. Whether you like it or not, and some people love it and some people just can't stand it. But thanks to what Marvel has done, we now live in a world where everything is a universe. if there's a movie with a character, that character exists in a fictional world, and that fictional world has other characters, and if those other characters are interesting enough, we will follow them in spin-off movies, in spin-off TV shows, and we'll expand that universe. Yeah. And IP is IP. So if you're Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, Netflix, anybody right now, you are looking at your library, you're seeing what you have, and you're like, all right, can we launch this into a universe? Are there other characters? Can we create other characters? So that is the strategy. This all just hangs on how good the movie is. Like you guys said, like they seem to be confident enough in where it's going and what the ideas of these new characters are that they think it's going to work. This is a pretty early announcement. Have we even heard about the third movie going into production? Do we even know when the third movie is coming out?
I mean, I don't know that they've announced when it's coming out.
Right.
But it's been dancing around for the last 2 years for sure.
Exactly. So it's great that they're excited about this spinoff series for a movie that isn't even in production and we don't know when it's going to start. So like a lot can happen between now and then. This might be one of those stories that we look back 6 months from now and be like, remember when we covered that story and it just disappeared and it never went anywhere? That was a fun story. But it could be good. Like everything all depends, it's, whether you're rebooting Transformers, G.I. Joe, Sherlock Holmes, Boba Fett, whatever it is, like if the story's good and you nail it, people will be into it. And then you'll have a bunch of other studios running around launching their stuff, doing it poorly and going, I wonder why it didn't work.
Right, exactly. Well, the other side of this too, and look at the track record for Team Downey. They did Netflix's Sweet Tooth, which is getting a second season, and they also did Perry Mason, which I really liked, and that's coming out with a second season very soon as well. So certainly they've got a good pedigree of transferring some of these classic characters or combo characters into series and making it work. So I have all the confidence in the world, as I think all three of us enjoyed those first two Sherlock Holmes movies with Downey. So hopefully this one comes out and we anticipate it'll be good. And then these characters will be interesting for sure to see how they work within the world. And I anticipate one will be a female character and I anticipate one might be a person of color. So those are my anticipations. And we shall see how they play this out.
I'm putting my money on the irregulars.
Yeah.
I'll put my money on the irregular. Yeah. I think that's an idea that if they launch it in the movie and the kids they cast are like good enough and could carry an entire own, like I could see that being one of them.
Right. Yeah, me too. Even though it didn't do so well.
And bad version didn't do well.
Yeah, fair enough. The bad version didn't do well. Good point. All right. We'll keep tabs on this, as Michael says. Is it going to be a story that's going to stick around or go away and we'll just go like, remember that day? All right, Shannon, take us into the world of trailers, my man.
With trailers, we get the second or third look, depending on which trailer we're talking about. The first one we're going to talk about is Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. This is a longer trailer, and really seems to provide some levity to the world. I mean, like again, I don't know the world that well, but Anson Mount had a couple of zingers in this. So I'll throw it over to you guys first. What did you all think of our first, or rather our second look at Star Trek: Strange New Worlds?
I got to say, I loved it. And I actually got a little text message from my girlfriend who was having a Zoom meeting in the other room because I was cussing at the trailer after it was over. She said, please no cursing so loudly when I'm on the Zoom meeting. But here's what I'll tell you.
The life of the Lady Outlaw is an interesting life indeed.
I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. Hopefully she'll write a book one day. But here, the thing is, I loved the vibe. They essentially are rebooting Star Trek, the original series. That's what they're doing here. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they defend it. This is essentially Star Trek, the original series, all over again with Captain Pike. You got Spock. You got Cadet Uhura in here. And some people, I've seen some of the more old school Trek fans like me get upset because some of the dialogue and some of the back and forth feels too quippy. Listen, in 1960s, that back and forth dialogue we're watching in the original series was quippy for 1960s. So people need to kind of get over that and understand this is a more modern approach to Star Trek. And it's topical and it's very much in the vibe of what people want to see. And clearly, these shows are doing well, or they wouldn't keep making all these shows here in the Star Trek universe. And I like the vibe and the energy. This already may look to be my favorite show of all of the Trek shows they've released here on Paramount Plus, because I just like the vibe. I like the old school vibe, the original series vibe. I like the look of it. I like the chemistry with all the actors in there. I like the look of the different actors in there as well. Some people were upset that we saw Spock kiss a girl. Now they're deciding he's heterosexual. for God's sakes, man, just wait until the show comes out and they lay it all out. And yes, who cares about that right now? Let it present itself. When it presents itself, then we'll have the debate and have the conversation. But until then, you're just guessing and speculating. But I loved it, had the right amount of vibe. And Anson Mount, he makes me want to go watch Hell on Wheels, which did not look good to me. But his swagger and his confidence as Pike is great. And I love that we've got that Spock back from Discovery and the chemistry overall. So, yeah, I'm on board 1,000%. I can't wait to watch this one. Mike?
Yeah, I'm kind of a Johnny. I think like watching this trailer gets me super jazzed. I think that it has an energy that the other Star Trek shows don't currently have. And I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, because I think each Star Trek show that's out there right now is kind of giving you something a little bit different. Like Star Trek Discovery is really sort of your all-out action, serious sci-fi, like big stakes, epic worlds kind of Star Trek. And I think they've done a really, really nice job kind of carving out a space for Discovery to be like, we're far off in the future, which allows us to deal with the Federation in an entirely different way. And I think that's really, really nice. I think Picard gets a little fan fiction-y sometimes, but like you do love these characters, you love to return to them, and they deal with a little bit more of like the emotional sort of psychological side of Star Trek, and like that's kind of cute and fun over here. And I think Strange New Worlds is like, hey guys, remember that Star Trek is like a rip-roaring fun adventure show in space, and we're gonna tell crazy weird sci-fi stories, action adventure stories, and it's kind of funny, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. And I think that, if you took all of these shows and put them in a blender, you would kind of end up with the original Star Trek series. They're just doing a little bit over here, a little bit over here, and a little bit here. I think it looks like a blast. I think that it, based on the first teaser that we got and then this trailer, like they really are dealing with the seeks out new life and new civilizations and boldly going where no one goes before. Yeah. So they're dealing with the Enterprise kind of being on the edges of the galaxy, meeting these new races. And like, this is the part of sci-fi that I love, because when you meet a new alien race, it allows you to sort of do what sci-fi does best, which is be a reflection of our modern day bullshit through a different filter and like reflect on it. And I think they're going to do a lot of that, as much as they're going to do a lot of like crazy, weird space alien mumbo jumbo action fun. Like it just looks like a very confident show right now. It looks like it knows what it wants to be, and it's delivering exactly what it wants to you. So I can't wait. And also just, God love living in this era that we live in, because whether you're a Marvel fan, a DC fan, a Star Wars fan, or a Star Trek fan, you are just, your table is full. Yeah. You have got so much
really, I know,
to take in right now, and it's amazing.
And one thing that neither of my venerated co-hosts brought up is Anson Mount's hair. My goodness, that
good
man,
hair. Good hair.
That's quite a head of hair. I mean, that is some big silver gloriousness on top of that man's head. And based off this trailer, I mean, I do think, like Picard, I didn't necessarily need to go back and watch the second season. Discovery seems like an investment. Strange New Worlds, I mean, I just got my Paramount Plus subscription, so I might check out from the beginning. We'll see what happens.
Well, enjoy your subscription of the shittiest working app on streaming.
How dare you,
oh
sir?
Man, I cannot disagree with you there.
I disagree, sir. Look, Amazon Prime might not have the best layout, but Paramount Plus is the jankiest app. It's like buying a 15-year-old car and the thing never starts, and you're just like, can I please watch Discovery? Can I please watch Discovery?
I'm just trying to make the thing go down. Why won't it go down?
Well, I'm going in the search. Why can't I get over to the right? I just want to get over to the right.
It's a video game controller I'm operating this on. I know what that down arrow means. It's not doing it.
Yeah, Amazon Prime is like a $5 bin. You have to go find it somewhere.
Oh yeah, Amazon Prime. You know what? That is so goddamn funny. Amazon Prime does feel like when you were a kid and your mom took you to the store and you went to the $5 bin and you're just like kind of going through. You're like, there must be something good in here somewhere. I mean, I paid the money. Like Miss Maisel. Okay, cool. That's nice. Like, but like you are really, you are digging through some stuff on that Amazon Prime one. But at least this thing works.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
It goes. The arrow goes down on Amazon Prime. Well, Star Trek Strange New Worlds comes out May 5th on the incredibly janky Paramount Plus. Our next trailer we're going to talk about is our second look at Barry season 3. So this is a 2-minute trailer, and we get a little bit more of the darkness that the show is known for. I mean, it is a dark comedy. And you actually get the sense that Gene Cousineau, who played by the incredible Henry Winkler, seems like he might be exploring his dark side as well here by the end of that trailer. Gentlemen, what did you all think of our second look at Barry season 3?
Mike?
I think I said this when we watched the last teaser. Like, it literally has been so long since I watched Barry that watching both of these trailers was like, I gotta go back. I gotta go back and rewatch. I remember broad strokes what happened, but the trailer is so good. And it makes me so excited to jump back in that I will absolutely like go back through and kind of watch at least the last half of the second season, which had some real banger episodes in it. But yeah, I mean, just again, like these characters are so well drawn and there's so much going on. And I really kind of feel like when you see this trailer, you see that like they've really hit that culmination. Like when Barry is talking in the trailer about like, he didn't just make me a better actor, he made me a better man. And like, I think anybody can be the person they want to be. I mean, the whole show and the whole series is really about your past, the choices you make. Can you change? Can you be a different person? And that's reflected most primarily in Barry, but in every single character in that show. So as he's saying that voiceover and you're kind of seeing all the different characters, I really feel like this show, this season particularly, is really going to be a huge turning point, like really kind of deliver the goods on a show that was consistently delivering the goods already. So I can't wait, and I will be going back and rewatching at least part of Barry season 2.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the one show that we have rewatched multiple times in the Outlaw household. I mean, literally, we've taken a Saturday and finished a season because it's just a show that both of us love thoroughly. And the fact that he's won the Emmy for lead actor 2 years for both seasons, everybody who is coming out with something to go against Barry now, y'all better be careful. Looking at this trailer, this looks like haters going even deeper into the emotional journey and the catharsis of Barry. And remember, the end of last season, all kinds of stuff blew up with him and Cousineau, with him and his girlfriend, and all this kind of stuff. And certainly, we're seeing that all these characters are advancing in their lives. Certainly, I forget the actress Sarah Goldberg. I forget her character's name, but Sally, right? It looks like she's got a series regular or a lead in a film. She's kind of going to some kind of premiere coming out of a limo. Looks pretty cool, but then she looks completely frazzled and crying. And of course, because she's always an emotional basket case through the first 2 seasons of everything, she's always contradicting the emotion. Remember the lie she told, or not lie, but like the kind of manipulation of some of the story there, and then finding out what happened when she was attacked. All of that really interesting. She told the true story and then other people were saying, no, you didn't. And she had to fight it. So she's got a lot of things that she's had to overcome rather in order to kind of establish what she's got to establish here as the character. And Cousineau himself, he's now found out what Barry's role is in the death of his love. What's that going to be all about? His son is back in the mix a little bit more, it looks like, in this season. So from the trailer, and of course, Noah Hank. I mean, the cyanide pills thing at the ending. Jesus Christ. I laughed like I rewound it like 4 or 5 times. I was laughing so hard. You know?
Again, I have the weirdest crush on him. I don't get it. I think he is just a cute little cue ball, and I just want to like just rub his head. Like, I think he's so adorable.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean,
yeah.
One of the few comedic moments in this trailer delivered by NoHo Hank and the 2 guys who were playing his Chechen buddies.
His Chechen buddies are the best. We'll take cyanide pills. What? And it's the perfect. But also his line from Shawshank Redemption: "Get rich or die trying." I mean, just brilliant. So Shannon's right. The darkness is here, but also there's going to be the humor within the darkness, as life usually has humor within the darkness, if you know where to look. And I'm just so excited to see what we're going to get. And this is like the little engine they could, which is crazy about this show. It doesn't get the hype train, but people who love it, and clearly it's been rewarded with awards and what have you. So it's very beloved amongst the industry.
Season 2, I mean, it's been so long. When season 2 came out, there was no HBOMax. Like, it was just I think it's going to be really interesting. I think that shows that were on HBO that had a really strong following on HBO now that HBO Max is a streaming service that I think arguably is one of the better streaming services, in terms of interactivity, what they're delivering, like all of it.
Better than Paramount Plus.
But it's a little bit better than Paramount Plus. I just think that you might see that thing happen where Barry season 3 comes out, and you're gonna have a ton of people who've never watched Barry just dive in on season 1 and just kind of go all the way through. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like, kind of to your point, because I think you are right, it was kind of the little show that could. And I do think that there's a chance now that it's on HBO Max that you're going to see this, like with season 3, like this sort of Barry obsession come through where people who were never talking about it before, it's just going to kind of reach new heights. I have a feeling that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a similar thing, despite the fact that it was never on HBO, happened with, I was reading about Our Flag Means Death.
Yes.
How when it initially dropped, it didn't get a lot of traction, and then slowly it became one of HBO Max's, for the time, one of its top streamed programs. Like everyone just suddenly jumped on board. Forgive the pun. This pirate show.
I will not forgive it.
Forgive it.
Even when you're not trying to, you do it. Even when you're not trying.
You said Sithritary last week, so
first of all, Sithritary was gold. That was gold.
It was mentioned one time in the comments, and the mention was so fool's gold.
Okay,
fool's gold. Okay,
dad joke over here is now a critic. I see. Sir, I've been in writers' summits with you. I've heard the crickets.
Oh, here we go. Oh boy.
And you're welcome. But also before we move on to our last trailer, and I can't say who it is, but I found out a friend of all of ours is going to be on recurring on Barry season 3.
Recurring? Oh, that's great.
When we stop recording, I will tell you who it is.
Okay.
But yes, Barry season 3 starts or drops April 24th, so in just a few weeks. Yeah. And on to our last trailer, which is really just more of an extended TV spot. We get one more look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which, as we are recording, the tickets are on sale. If you're one of the lucky ones that the AMC A-List app won't crash on you, maybe you've gotten your tickets. I am not one of those yet. But we get this new...
I'm buying the tickets for everybody. I'm just going to go do it when we get off this call later, so it's fine.
Yay!
I got you guys.
Hey.
Well, I've probably seen it before, but yes, okay, yeah, very much. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So our last look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we get an appearance from the two Maximoff children. We see Tommy and Billy pop up. We also get a glimpse of Wanda's Sokovian accent, where she drops the word nightmare. Whether or not that is an indication of a character that might show up, we don't know. But gentlemen, just over a month, or just under a month, what did we think of our last look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
I mean, I think they were real smart to put Billy and Tommy in there. That, like, it is so funny watching just like the Wanda red meat that Marvel is just waving at everybody. Like, they know what they've got. They've locked her down for 7 more years. We know mutants are on the horizon. We know we're getting a Professor X, maybe not our Professor X, but we're getting a Professor X in this movie. And now with Billy and Tommy, it's like, they're like, guys, we know what you want, and we are giving it to you. We are delivering this. I think that everyone is excited about this movie for lots of reasons. I think that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to do great. I think we get the fact that we get 3 different Doctor Stranges, the fact that we get the Illuminati. We've got Zombie Strange. We get a really brief glimpse of Wanda. Zombie Strange, we get Zombie Wanda. Very brief glimpse. Not quite sure how that all plays in. But like that Wanda Vision story that was sort of told, in the background of the movies, like things were happening, and by the time we got to Infinity War and Endgame, like, okay, Wanda and Vision are together. But then the way that they sort of doubled down on that with WandaVision, introduced Billy and Tommy into the MCU in a great way, had them disappear, and now that is like her driving focus as a character as she has stepped into this role of the Scarlet Witch. Even this whole trailer, kind of doubled down on that thing from the original trailer, or the big trailer, where she was like, you changed the rules. You do what you want to do
Yeah.
and you're a hero. I do it and I'm the villain. That doesn't seem fair. And it kind of took Strange's whole, I have the same dream every night, and the way it kind of faded into Wanda and her dream is a nightmare. Whether that is just the word nightmare or a reference to another character, it's still really affecting that, like, they're taking this idea that all the male heroes say, well, I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to do this thing. And I am applauded for it. And Wanda, just like in the comics, best of intentions, but goes down a different path. And the fact that this trailer is sort of confirming that that's the way we're going, like, I could hear all the screams around LA as I watched it. Like, people are ready. People are here for Wanda.
I see with my little third eye, this is going to be an awesome movie. And it's only a 2-hour and 6-minute movie. They released the runtime for this one. So that's pretty shocking to shove all of that into 2 hours. I'm really, so this story feels like if it's that short of a runtime, it's going to be much more concise than people think. So that actually gets me excited rather than gets me worried, because that means it's going to be more of a linear story. And well, not linear, but necessarily, but more of a, how can I say this? It's going to be a condensed story. I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah. Straight lines going where it's going. And I don't got to be lost in all these other tangents. It knows what it needs to accomplish. And I'm excited for that. And yeah, seeing the kids, Mike, you're absolutely right. I wonder how old they're going to let them get. You know, are they going to become the subject of attraction for some people? I don't know. We're going to see as they get older what they're going to do. So that's an element of this you can't discount for sure. And seeing, I mean, the fact that they go right on her and she says, Nightmare. We know Nightmare's connection to Doctor Strange, Nightmare's connection to Wanda, Nightmare's connection to so many things. It's really, really fascinating that they highlighted that and got the nerds to go absolutely crazy with nerdgasm seeing that, because will Nightmare be the villain? And that's been a rumor since like early last year that Nightmare was going to have something to do as the main villain here in Doctor Strange and in the next season of WandaVision, which I think is they're doing. So all of that gets me very, very excited to see this. And yeah, I mean, just the look of this film. I had mad doubts because I'm not the biggest Sam Raimi person. I know that's sacrilege in the world of nerddom, but I think he's more misses than hits. And even within his hits, I have issues with his films. But in the end, this looks awesome. And no one will be happier than me leaving a theater if Raimi knocks it out of the park with this film. So
yeah, I don't love all of the Raimi isms that are sort of his calling cards.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan. I imagine we'll see the car at some point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In Multiverse of Madness. But yeah, that 2-hour, 5-minute runtime, like that's really interesting. Like I think we've become so accustomed to these. I won't say overly long, but long superhero movies. These 2.5 hour plus. And as much as I did enjoy the Batman, I don't think it needed everything. I don't know what you would take away, but there was a lot. But we are going to find out what happens in the Multiverse of Madness on May 6th, just about in a month.
Oh, I gotta go get this. I do think it is funny that we're all like, 2 hours. It's a short movie. I'm like, 2 hours is decent.
That's very true.
It depends on what you do with it. Some movies are 1 hour and 40 minutes, like one we might be talking about in a second, and they feel long.
Fair enough. Some movies are 3 hours and you want more, like Endgame. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to jump into our main topic here and talk about, speaking of one of those movies, as Shannon just mentioned here, we're going to break down a little bit of Morbius and these post-credit scenes. So just letting you know, if you haven't seen the movie or you don't know about the post-credit scenes, this is going to be a spoiler discussion here going into this main topic. So you can turn it off here, go watch the movie, come on back and finish watching this episode.
Or don't.
Yeah, fair enough. I would never tell you to do that, but Mike, you will. All right, but we'll be right back after this.
What if I fell to the floor? Couldn't take this anymore. What would you do? All I could think of with Jared Leto was 30 Seconds to Mars.
Wow. You even know a song with it? That's shocking. All right. Well, shout out to you. I didn't know that.
The Kill's not a bad song.
Fair enough. A lot of news has been coming out with Morbius here that it made about $40 million opening weekend, which is a lot lower than the last two Venom films. But then again, I mean, Venom is such a well-known character, so I'm not necessarily dinging Morbius for doing that. I thought it was pretty good for an unknown character that a lot of people don't know. So great. Jared Leto, also some of the flack with Jared Leto coming out of that Gucci performance, which a lot of people didn't like. And Daniel Espinosa, who I think is actually a good director. I liked Life, A Child 44. I think he's done a good job with some of these
Safe
movies.
House.
Safe House, yes. Safe House is one of these like underappreciated Denzel Washington vehicles, and Ryan Reynolds is damn good in that movie. So to me, I didn't hate the movie the way other people hated the movie. It wasn't good, but it wasn't unwatchable like some of those random fucking movies. But there's a lot of drama going around this thing, certainly focusing on the post-credit scenes, but also an interview that Espinosa, the rumors coming out, and Espinosa kind of commenting on them, that Jared Leto was so method that he was taking 45-minute pee breaks because he wanted to walk to the bathroom in his crutches, use the bathroom in his crutches, and then walk back on set, and that was causing problems. So a lot of drama around this, but let's talk about those post-credit scenes here first. We do see Michael Keaton coming in here from the world of the MCU and being transferred through the purple portal into the world of the Sony Spider-Verse. And then he shows up, supposedly, that's not his body at all, as Vulture talking to Morbius, setting up some kind of alliance here. This is like writing a term paper, and then right at the end, you just go, and that's why I feel the way I feel. And that's it. And there's no extra kind of wrap up of everything, just kind of shove it in at the end, deal with it. It's like, what? So this was so clumsy and ham-handed and frustrating. It's a terrible start to what will probably be some kind of anti-hero Sinister Six. Gentlemen, thoughts on this intro, and how scared are you for Kraven now?
I mean, when I saw them, I texted with Vogel, and it was like, okay, the first one, it's like, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
that
and it does not. That
Doctor Strange's spell went haywire again, and somehow Toomes got transported from the MCU world to the Venomverse world. But then the second one, where it's like he shows up with his costume from the MCU, it's like, okay, he didn't build that. The Tinkerer built that. So
yeah.
In this, do they have the same technology? It's like, but then he's like, hey, I was in another universe. Now I'm here. I think it's Spider-Man's fault. We should team up. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, it was so, yeah. I mean, it was just kind of so silly. And it's like, you know where they want to go. You know where they want to get to. They just haven't figured out a good way to do it yet. So they're just going to be like, oh, this is where we're going. Yeah. We'll explain it later. We've got a couple of years. We'll come up with something. Yeah, it was silly.
Yeah, Mike.
So I have not seen Morbius. I'll be honest about it. I just can't bring myself. There's a lot of other things in the theater that I wanted to see more, and I haven't quite brought myself to see it yet. But I have seen the end credit sequences, and oh boy. Yeah, look, I think that like everybody underestimates how good Marvel is with their post-credit sequences. Not 100%. They've definitely had some stinkers in there along the way that you're just like, well, we're going to pretend that one didn't happen. That like they've definitely had their false starts. They establish something like Thanos having a glove, and then they realize later on that that's not going to work. So they've definitely fucked up too. But this is just, Sony's track record is, we got the Spider-Man movies. We made the first two Spider-Man movies, which I can argue with you all day long about the first one and how I hate Willem Dafoe, but the first two Spider-Man movies really good, and then they just whiff it with Spider-Man 3. I mean, like, Spider-Man 3 is just a disaster of a movie. Then they go to the Andrew Garfield movies, and although we all agree that we love Andrew Garfield and that he and Emma Stone are the best parts of those movies, by the time you get to the second one, you're just like, dude, what are you doing? Then they team up with Marvel. Marvel's like, here's how you do Spider-Man. Marvel's like, oh, by the way, we'll go ahead and like fix your Green Goblin, and we'll make people remember that Andrew Garfield was great and literally cry when Andrew Garfield catches MJ. And then Sony's like, cool, we got it. Hey guys, here's this post-credit sequence. And you're like, are you serious? We have literally shown you the way. Michael Keaton, Adrian Toomes all of a sudden disappearing out of the MCU and showing up in this other universe literally makes no sense.
Yeah.
Now, look, I will grant you that Tom Hardy disappearing from the MCU and leaving a tiny little bit of his symbiote behind stretches credulity as well. Like, you're like, I don't know that really makes sense, but if that's the way that you're going to give me Venom in the MCU, I guess I'll allow it. But Doctor Strange's spell, literally, I will make everybody forget who Peter Parker is so that all of these people from other universes coming in go out. And if you're like, they all go back where they came from, plus this random person also just disappears because. Like, he's from our universe. There's no reason that he should, but cool. So even that by itself,
slip through.
Yeah, sure. This one character that we actually need. I mean, this is besides the fact that, like, based on the early trailers from Morbius, we knew that Michael Keaton was in it. We all had discussions of, does this mean that this is in our universe? Is this an Adrian Toomes from another universe? Whatever they established, I guess they decided, well, this is dumb, and now that No Way Home came out, we can do this instead. So they clearly at the last minute shifted everything to do this, thinking that fans would be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And based on Twitter's reactions, fans are like, what are you doing? Yeah. Can you stop? And then yes, Shannon's 100% right. Given everything we know about Adrian Toomes from Homecoming, he didn't build that suit.
Nope.
He has no beef with his Spider-Man, really. I mean, like, granted, if he forgot that Peter Parker was Spider-Man and forgot that whole aspect, maybe he's just still pissed that Spider-Man was messing up his business. But he's in a different universe now. Like, his entire, I think Spider-Man has something to do with why I'm here. Let's team up and do some shit.
Yeah. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Yeah, like, let me fabricate anger and a rivalry here that has no basis in fact, because this is a different Spider-Man from a different universe. If you know you're from a different universe and you're in this new universe, why are you mad at this Spider-Man and not that the other universe's Spider-Man? It just makes no sense. Talk about projection. It just makes no sense on any level here. And I don't know, it's just mind-blowing. And this is what I was afraid of when those Venom films made money. That's Sony going, well, we don't have to, well, fuck it. Like, I mean, we can just make a whole bunch of money and this no big deal. We don't have to put that much effort into the story. We can make just as much as Marvel.
Oh, John, it's
like,
worse. It's worse. It's worse than that. They think they're putting the effort in.
Yeah. Okay.
They're not sitting there. They're not sitting there going, let's just make some shitty movies. Like, they think they're doing what Marvel's doing. And even DC, like, look, I'm the first one to knock DC, but like, even what DC is doing with Flashpoint, which whether or not they execute well on it remains to be seen, but bringing in Michael Keaton, using Flashpoint, that universe's Batman is coming here, like, the broad strokes of what they're doing is logical and makes sense, given what Flash's abilities are and what we know that Flash has done in the comics. This is just like, this seems, it's just annoying. It drives me crazy.
Bad. I feel bad for Michael Keaton. I mean, he's been on a renaissance here, and now he's going to be stuck in that Sony Spider-Verse. If I was him, I'd drunkenly call Kevin Feige like Tom Holland did, go, but work this out. Get me back. I don't want to be a part of this.
He's going to be Batman. He's all right.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. Michael Keaton is like, if people are like, hey, it doesn't make sense that Adrian Toomes in the universe. He's like, this paycheck makes sense. I just bought myself a new house. Like, he's fine. He's fine.
Let's get nuts. All right. And any thoughts on Jared Leto and the using the crutches to go pee? Gentlemen, have we gone too far?
Okay. Days on set can be very, very long.
Yes.
Everyone wants to do a good job, but me doing my good job shouldn't make your job harder. And it seems like his on-set antics don't justify the performance. I mean, especially in Morbius. Like, watching that movie, I'm like, Jared Leto's a brilliant actor. I mean, like, watching We Crashed, I'm like, this guy is legitimately brilliant. Like, he's fantastic. But you shouldn't make the entire crew suffer for you to have a moment. That's just me.
Okay. Mike?
I remember when I was a freshman in high school and I was in the school play, and this guy who was a senior who was seen as a very good actor, we were in a play, and he had this very dramatic scene on stage, and I was like backstage talking to somebody, and he came backstage after the scene, and he was breathing heavy and red in the face and snot coming out of his nose, and then he like hit a cage like that had some lights behind it and like dented the cage. It was like, and then walked away. And I'm a little freshman in high school, and I'm like, the fuck is going on? And someone was like, oh yeah, that's just his process. He's really method. And I'm like, what's method? Because I was a freshman and I didn't know.
Who's Lou?
Who's Lou? But I that's always stuck with me. And whenever these things, I'm with Shannon. Look, I actually do think some of his choices notwithstanding, I think Jared Leto is a very good actor. And I think a lot of actors that want to do, whether it's Benedict Cumberbatch in Power of the Dog or Jared Leto in Morbius, like you want to do this whole method thing where you stay in character and you stay in the moment. But you are a human being, and somewhere in your brain, you know where you really are. Like whatever your process is, where you're in the zone that you are this person, and you don't have your legs don't work, but like somewhere deep down, you understand your actual surroundings, and that you are on a set, and that there are people that are living their lives and doing what they need to do. And so I think if he, you know, and I know that like ultimately what they decided is he took the wheelchair to the bathroom. Like, great.
Yeah.
Probably should have got there faster. It's like, look, like I want to make sure that I am living this way, so I don't want to ruin anybody else's time, and I know that this would take me time. Let's get in front of this. Like, let's figure out there is a way to be method and stay in character the whole time and still respect the hundreds of people that are working to make this movie happen.
Yeah. And listen, look, he's great in We Crashed. If you're watching We Crashed, he's fantastic on that show on Apple TV. It is really good, but someone described it on Twitter. I thought it was perfect. He's the Daniel Day-Lewis of bad movies. And I was like, wow, that's actually kind of fucking nails it. So I was like, putting that much effort in to be part of a terrible film. Like, I can understand that, you know, and I mean, again, well, maybe not terrible, just not so good. And I don't want to listen.
No.
Daniel Espinosa is a Latino director. I don't want to jump on him. And he was very honest in his interview yesterday. If you read the interview, he's like, I'm always reassessing. I'm always looking at things that didn't work and try to get better as a director. It just kind of totally shut up, in my opinion, all these people who were gleefully dancing around going after Morbius over the weekend, some of my fellow critics. And I was like, y'all need to calm the fuck down, man, because it is not that bad of a movie. Venom and those Venom movies are fucking horrible. This is not a good movie, but it's not like the worst superhero movie ever made, for God's sake.
Here's the thing I'll say. I don't think that look, there are definitely asshole directors and asshole writers and asshole actors out there. There are assholes. Some of them are assholes who do real stuff that we love, and we look aside from the fact that they're assholes. But like, I think that most people, even the assholes, go into a movie, no matter what the budget is, no matter what's going on with it, you go in trying to make a good movie. I think the truth of it is, I said this to my dad once, like, it's shocking that the amazing movies get made with the number of people that have to be working at their best, with the executive level, with like all the crazy executive notes that you're going to get, all the crazy people weighing in on different things. The bigger the property, the bigger the IP, the more you've got, well, the comic book company is weighing in, and this executive and this person who has the rights to this is weighing in. Like, it's impossible. And I just think that when you look at the Sony movies, I don't fault Espinosa. Like, I don't fault the the Sony issue with doing these universes is clearly a Sony executive level issue, because that's where the problem is. Kevin Feige allows for his directors to be able to make great movies, and all the stuff that needs to connect, that level handles. Like, and look, not every person who's directed a Marvel movie is the best director in the world. Some of them are amazing, some of them are mediocre, some of them are probably not that great. But ultimately, that bigger connective level, that happens at the executive level. So the bigger issues with Morbius, aside from the fact that it's kind of like a whatever movie, is that bigger connection level thing with those post-credit sequences and what they're even doing with Spider-Man. And that's a Sony executive level issue.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, no, we got to get on out of here. So any final words here, Shannon, before we wrap on this one?
No.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you all so much for watching this episode of Geek Buddies. We appreciate it madly. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MK2, and if you would like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at the Rocha Says.
Mikey?
If you enjoyed this update on your week of Geek and want to continue to get such updates, here are some things that you can do to help us out. Definitely hit that like button below so that we get all the likes possible. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page so that he gets all the amazing followers and you can see all the amazing stuff that he's got going on because he is a busy, busy man. Leave your comments below. What trailers are you excited about? Do you think that there is more juice in Sherlock? What do you think of the Moon Knight show? Why is it doing so well? Are you enjoying Moon Knight? What did you think of Morbius? Are you one of the people that thought it was actually a decent movie? Are you furious at it? Are you mad about these post-credit sequences? Do you think Adrian Toomes even belongs in the universe? What the are they going to do? Let us know what you think below in the comments. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere, leave us some stars, leave us some comments there. It helps us go up in the rankings. So when people search for entertainment podcasts, they find these lovely faces. And the best thing that you guys can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell everybody to spend some time with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. Thank you all so much. And of course, thank you to Carbon Health as well, who powers and sponsors the show. Go to carbonhealth.com. They have 100 plus locations across 14 states, 50 plus locations in California, across the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and North San Diego doing COVID testing. They establish a partnership with a primary care clinician that gets a professional in your corner for your health needs, questions, and healthy future. They continue to partner with us here on the Geek Buddies because they genuinely care about positive communities who engage with each other over the love of culture and expressions of life. Certainly, we do that in this community, and you can download the app now to keep a doc in your pocket for any of those needs that you need healthcare-wise and get it handled there at carbonhealth.com. Again, carbonhealth.com. All right, thank you all so much. You take care of yourselves. Be well. Look for our Moon Knight spoiler review for episode 2 coming soon, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here from the
Geek
Buddies.